welcome back to another episode of Fox Sports Lab NRL. Josh Morris is alongside me. We're going to preview round 16. Josh, great to have your company. First up, how have you been?
Yeah, good. Look, I'm looking forward to next week when the Origin gets played again, but we've got another round of great football to get through. Obviously, there were a couple of big wins over the weekend, notably the Sharks and the Storm. So the Sharks will be hurting. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do an Origin recap closer to next week's, do or die for New South Wales up there in Queensland. But let's focus on round 16. It kicks off with the Cowboys coming up against the Panthers. Probably a great time for the Cowboys to face the Premiers, just given how many players they are missing through Origin.
Yeah, look, it's a good battle for both sides. Obviously, the Cowboys have a number of players out through Origin, and then the Panthers themselves have been hit by Origin, and they showed last week that without Nathan Cleary, they can still get the job done. Whether or not they can get it job done with so many other players out will be the question. But I'm leaning towards the Panthers in that one.
Have you been surprised by how easily, I suppose, Cogger has taken to that number 7 jersey and leading his team around the park in the absence of Nathan Cleary?
No, not really. I think with the Penrith system they're in every grade they have success. So they train similarly to the first grade. So I imagine that it wouldn't have been too much of a transition for him to come in, and then it's just a matter of getting in there and getting the boys getting around him and giving him that confidence. And he's shown that he's been able to get the job done. So I think he can get the job done this week and again for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely a huge game. Now, the next up is the Knights and the Roosters. Now, this is a battle of 12th versus 13th. You have to say the Roosters, they've gone back to the drawing board yet again after that loss last week. Really isn't the Roosters of old that we've seen in times gone by, is it?
No, it's not, and you're just waiting for them to click, but it's not happening at the moment. This one was probably the toughest of the round to pick. I mean, it's a flip of a coin for me. Kalen Ponga playing up there at Newcastle, he'll have a point to prove. He still wants to get back into the Origin arena, so it makes for an interesting subplot there. But I'm giving the Roosters another chance. I think they need to get the wins, and it needs to start this week if they're going to threaten or challenge in the finals.
What do the Roosters do with that halves combination? They've tried a number of different combinations there. It hasn't quite clicked. Their attacking isn't quite coming into clicking into gear for them. What would you put in? Who would you put in the number 6 and 7? We know Luke Keary there. Who do you put in there to partner him?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. I guess at the moment they've just got to try certain players. Obviously, they've tried with Joey Manu, and he's gone back out to the centres now. They've got young Sandon Smith there, who's playing in the halves, who's been a revelation in the lower grades. Obviously, with Sam Walker's injury, it's taking a lot longer than they first would have hoped. If they had another option, I would probably suggest Drew Hutchinson in the halves as well to partner Luke Keary. I think he's got the experience and he's got a bit of a calmer head. But we'll have to wait and see how Sandon Smith goes this weekend and see how that works for the Roosters. But they certainly need some stability in the halves if they're to challenge this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another big one with two teams that are close to each other again on the premiership ladder is, of course, the Eels and the Seagulls, both coming off big, big wins. This is another close one, you'd have to say, is a flip of a coin.
Yeah, the Seagulls looked amazing against the Dolphins from the outset. I was at that game, and they just looked like they were another gear above what the Dolphins were, and that was off the back of Tommy Turbo, and then Lachlan Croke had a big game. Daly Cherry Evans was massive, but obviously they're away with Origin duties. The Eels, they're affected a little bit now with Mitch Moses and Junior Bolo, but I like the Eels in this one. I think they've spoken about this Origin period being very crucial to their season, and they still haven't had their buys yet either. So these games are pretty much 4-point games for them throughout this Origin period. So I think we'll see a desperate Eels side, and I think they can get the chocolates in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Every game is supposedly, or it's really is a 4-point game at this time of the season, as you say. All right, we've got this Tigers who are sitting in 16th, coming up against the Storm, who are placed in third. Where do you see this one going? You're leaning towards the Storm, given their form at the moment, how they've clicked in recent weeks. Although the Tigers are at home.
Yeah, look, I'm leaning towards the Storm. I thought their performance on the weekend was outstanding. Although they will be missing a few, I think they've got some capable players to come in and replace them. And the Tigers, I thought they would have a great game against the Titans, and they just fell short. And obviously, they have injuries to their spine as well with Appy and Luke Brooks. So, considering that, I've lent towards the Storm in this one.
And just lastly, to round out this short round, which is round 16, Josh, Sharks in fifth coming up against the Bulldogs in 15th. We know that Nico Hines is going to have a point to prove in this game, given his form in the last outing in round 15, and also to the fact that he hasn't been picked in that Blues squad for game 2.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Nico. Obviously, he would have liked to have been picked in that squad. Brad Fittler's obviously lent a different way there, but it won't be just Nico. It'll be the whole Sharks side. I mean, they were embarrassed down there in Melbourne on the weekend, and when those types of things happen, you just want to get on the field as quick as you can and rectify that and put in a stronger performance. So. For the Bulldogs, it's I'd be very wary of a hurt Sharks side. I think they'll be too strong in this one as well.
Yeah, expect a big response from them. Now, of course, 17s are having the bye this weekend ahead of Origin 2. Josh and I will be back next week to preview Origin 2 and also to round 17. Josh, thanks so much for your time. See you next week.
Thanks, Eloise.
What's gambling really costing you?